Buenos días, jóvenes, ¿qué tal? ¿Cómo están? Ya estamos en la semana número 3. Semana número 3. ¿Y qué vamos a estudiar? What are we going to study this week? Well, tenemos 6 temas. 6 temas. Tema 1, la familia. What you need to know. Basic members of the family. Okay? Madre, padre, and then grandparents. Abuelo, abuela. Okay? Esposo, esposa, the spouse, ¿verdad? Hijo, hija, los hijos, the kids, ¿verdad? Hijo masculino, hija femenino. Remember the age in this one. And the age, it's not pronounced, okay? The age basically in Spanish is like an ornament unless it's along with a C or an S, okay? Ch, it makes the sounds ch. Bien. But otherwise, every time that you see the H, silent. Hijo, hija, hola, okay? Bien, what else? Mi tío, mi tía, uncle, ¿verdad? Aunt. And then mi primo, mi prima, cousins, okay? Mi sobrino, mi sobrina, niece and nephew, sobrino, sobrina, ¿sí? And mi novio, mi novia, mi amigo, mi amiga, etc. Okay, basic members of the family. And then, las profesiones, that's tema 2, las profesiones. Remember the verb trabajar, to work, right? ¿Dónde trabajas? ¿Dónde trabaja, por ejemplo, tu amigo? Mi amigo trabaja en una oficina. Él es, and then you say the profession. Él es artista, él es ingeniero, él es doctor, él es médico, ¿sí? O él es periodista o programador. You will see that you will be able to connect things that you know with these words. Artista, arte, art, ¿verdad? Artist. Ingeniero, kind of similar, not quite. Doctor, boom, cognate. Médico, like think about medicine, and that will help you to connect. Periodista, when you go to the library, you will see the periodicals section. Periódicos, see? And then make the connection with period. It's a period, okay? Something that goes periodically, ¿verdad? Periódicamente, periódico. Programador, programmer, okay? Bien. Trabaja en una oficina, trabaja en una clínica, por ejemplo, trabaja en un estudio, por ejemplo, ¿sí? Y también hay otro vocabulario, el amigo, la amiga, el apellido. ¿Cuál es tu apellido? Mi apellido es Rivera. Y tu apellido, your last name, tu apellido. Muchacho, muchacha, girl o boy, ¿verdad? El niño o child, una niña. El novio o novia, we said that, the boyfriend and girlfriend, and la persona, person. So, that vocabulary from tema 2 should be pretty easy, straightforward, and it's about to put things together in a sentence or a question. You can also ask, ¿es ingeniero tu amiga, tu amigo? ¿Es doctor tu padre? And then you have a question, a yes or no question. No, mi padre es trabajador, ¿verdad? If you don't know exactly The profession in Spanish, you can say es un trabajador, okay? Trabajar, trabajador, ¿sí? Bien, and that's tema 2. En tema 3, it's about the adjective. If we go back to capítulo 2, you will remember that we were talking about the agreements, ¿verdad? Capítulo 1, capítulo 2, we started to talk about the agreements between nouns and articles, right? And I said, take a look around your room, and everything that you see, it's a noun, it's a thing, something, una cosa, ¿verdad? Something. Now, that thing, that cosa, that noun will have a description, and that's an adjective. ¿Cómo es? ¿Cómo es el teléfono? El teléfono es bueno, el teléfono es malo, ¿ok? ¿Cómo es la profesora? La profesora es alta. No. La profesora es baja. And then when you use the adjective, make sure that you keep the agreement with the noun in terms of gender, but also in number, okay? So if we're talking about las profesoras, then las profesoras son, you see the agreement also with the verb, altas. So everything becomes plural, okay? Las profesoras son altas. Los estudiantes son simpáticos. Nice, ¿verdad? Simpáticos. Las estudiantes, you see las is because it's feminine. Estudiantes son simpáticas. Femenino, femenino, femenino. And then we have, of course, guapo o feo, ¿verdad? Guapo, nice, handsome, right? Nice looking. And then feo, ugly, ¿sí? And then we can add other adjectives besides alto, alta, guapo, guapa, feo, fea, bajo, baja. We can add inteligente, and you will see that with inteligente we don't have to worry about the agreement because it's ending with an E. Okay, it remains like that for feminine and masculine. We only pay attention to the number. Los estudiantes son inteligentes. Las estudiantes son inteligentes. And then we have trabajador o trabajadora. So we know already trabajar means to work. Trabajador, trabajadora, hardworking person, okay? Un joven, a young person, ¿verdad? Ustedes son jóvenes, joven. And the J, it sounds like the H in English. Joven, okay? Simpático, simpática, nice. So make sure that you're acquainted with at least those adjectives. Alto, and then the opposite. Bajo, guapo, and then the opposite. Feo, inteligente, trabajador, joven, simpático. The opposite, antipático, and the opposite of joven, viejo o mayor. A ver, so then you have several other adjectives. You have the list. Make sure that you're able to ask ¿cómo eres? But be able to respond to that question. Yo soy inteligente, guapo o guapa, simpático, simpática, trabajador, trabajadora. ¿Cómo es tu familia? Mi familia es simpática, mi familia es buena. ¿Cómo es tu madre? Mi madre es alta, mi madre es guapa, ¿sí? Mi madre es inteligente, mi madre es simpática. And then, ¿de dónde eres? Is a question that we already saw. So, it should be like a review, ¿sí? ¿De dónde eres? Yo soy, and then we have to add de, from, because otherwise we are not expressing origin, we're expressing other thing, okay? Yo soy de Estados Unidos. Now, that's to say origin. If I want to ask about nationality, then I have to modify my question, okay? And I have to ask, ¿cuál es tu nacionalidad? ¿Cuál es tu nacionalidad? Do not use que, okay? Use cuál. Which one? We use cuál when we have several options, okay? And the person has to choose among all those options. Bien. So, ¿cuál es tu nacionalidad? And then the answer. Mi nacionalidad es estadounidense. Remember? Soy de Estados Unidos. Now you put everything together, ¿verdad? Es without the S of estados. Estadounidense. And then after the O, the OS, you drop the OS and then you add ense. ¿Sí? Estadounidense. ¿Cuál es tu nacionalidad? Soy estadounidense. ¿De dónde eres? If I ask you ¿de dónde eres? Yo soy de Estados Unidos. And then after that you can continue and say yo soy estadounidense. Then you have other nationalities, okay? Alemán, alemana, argentino, argentina. Remember, we have to keep the agreement because when we express our nationality, that is an adjective. So it has to agree in terms of number and gender. ¿Sí? Bien, that's tema 3. Tema 4, it's about something that is called adjetivos posesivos, possessive adjectives. And we have been using these already. Mi libro, mi nombre, my name, ¿verdad? Mi amigo, mi, so my, ¿verdad? Possession. If what I possess is singular, then I have to change the me to mis. Mis amigos, mis libros, ¿sí? And if I want to talk about the possessions of another person, for example, let's start with tú, then it will be tu libro, tus libros, without the acento. Okay, so the acento will establish the difference between you and your. Okay, so that's why it's important to use the acentos. And then we have nuestro, our book, nuestro libro, nuestros profesores, or su, meaning his or her book, or your book, formal, okay, su libro. The same thing is used for the plural. Su, when the possessor is plural, okay? Por ejemplo, let's say that I'm talking about los estudiantes, su libro stays the same, okay? If then libro becomes plural, then I have to change the su to sus. Okay? Bien. I gave you some examples there. That's tema 4. And then tema 5, los verbos. If you know already how to conjugate hablar, trabajar, viajar, estudiar, tomar, nadar, good news. At least if you know how to conjugate one, hablar, then you know how to conjugate the other ones, okay? And then when we talk about verbs that are ending with er or ir, we do the same thing, okay? But the pattern is going to change just a little bit, okay? In the yo form, the verbs are going to remain the same, with ending with an O. That's what I meant, okay? For example, comer. So, if you remember hablar, the yo form was yo hablo. Estudiar, yo estudio. Now, comer is going to be yo como. The same thing, the same pattern, okay? Ending with an O. Vivir, vivo, yo vivo. Now, because we are using er verbs, now the A, it's an E, okay? Por ejemplo, beber. Instead of AR, now we have ER, okay? Tú bebes, ES, okay? Tú bebes. Deber, tú debes. Leer, tú lees. We keep the two E's there. Lees. And then comprender, tú comprendes. ¿Sí? Escribir is not ending with an E. But if you know ER, it's going to be pretty easy to remember IR. Why? Because they are very similar. The exception is in the nosotros and the vosotros form, okay? Por ejemplo, escribir, yo escribo, tú escribes, like comer, tú comes, ¿sí? And then él, ella escribe, like comer, come. But then the nosotros escribimos. Vosotros escribís y ellos escriben. Okay? Bien, so make sure that you know the meaning of comer, is to eat, beber, to drink, deber, when you must, when you have to do something. Yo debo estudiar. Yo debo leer. Yo debo trabajar. And then you use the verb conjugated after that, an infinitive, saying the activity that you must do, okay? Remember, deber is the only one that is going to be conjugated. Leer, yo leo, tú lees, to read, okay? Y comprender, to understand. Make connections with comprehension, right? Comprender. Vivir is to live. ¿Dónde vives? Yo vivo en Nueva York. Escribir, to write. Describir, when you are describing. Asistir, to attend. And then decidir, to decide. ¿Sí? Bien, so make sure that you know how to conjugate and the meaning of the verbs. There are some structures here. Deber, again, remember those structures. Deber plus the infinitive. I must do something, and that something remains in the infinitive form, the basic form. Yo debo trabajar. So that's deber. It will have a structure. If I'm wishing something, desear. Ay, yo deseo trabajar poco, a little bit. Yo deseo comer ahora. Yo deseo comer pizza. Yo deseo beber agua, water, ¿sí? Deseo. desire, okay? To wish, desire. And after that verb, remember, you need to conjugate that verb. After that, basic form of the verb, okay? The other verb. And then you have some modelos there. Yo deseo comer pizza. Yo debo estudiar español. I'm giving you some hypnosis here. Hypnotizing you. Anyway, I'm kidding. So remember the structure, okay? It's similar to gustar. And then finally, we're going to start seeing more of tener, the conjugations of tener, see? So we learned to say tengo 3 clases. ¿Cuántas clases tienes? Tengo una clase, see? And then tengo, tienes. But now we're going to learn the él, ella, and usted form and the other ones. So él, ella, tiene. Ella tiene. Nosotros tenemos. Vosotros tenéis y ellos, ellas y ustedes tienen. Once you know tener, which is to have, to possess, you know how to conjugate the verb venir. Venir is to come, ¿verdad? Venir. Because the only thing that you have to do is change, swap. The T now becomes a V, and then the meaning is totally different. Instead of tengo, vengo. Tengo, I have. Vengo, I come. Okay? Tengo, vengo. Tengo, vengo. Tengo, vengo. Bien. ¿Tienes un lápiz? No, no tengo un lápiz. ¿Tienes una calculadora? No, no tengo una calculadora. ¿Cuántos años tienes? Now this one is basic. How old are you? ¿Cuántos años tienes? Yo tengo 15 años. I wish. Yo tengo 30 años. Pay attention. In English, you use the verb to be. In Spanish, we don't use the verb to be to express how old are we, okay? We use the verb tener, possess, okay? So yo tengo 15 años, ¿sí? And venir, an example of using venir. ¿Cuándo vienes a la clase? ¿Cuándo vienes a la clase? ¿A qué hora vienes a la clase? ¿A qué hora vienes a la universidad? ¿Con quién vienes? With whom, ¿verdad? You're coming. And that's basically Tema 6, and that's all for this week. That's chapter 3. Again, start with the things that are familiar to you, then those that are similar to things that you already know, try to start with them, and then pay a lot of attention to those that are giving you a hard time. Make flashcards, okay, and quiz yourself very early in the morning, during the day, and then at nighttime study very hard. Go to BHL, complement my explanations, do the activities there, and finally come to Blackboard, finish the voice thread, the writing activity, and finally the quiz. ¿Sí? Bien. So this is it. Hasta luego, jóvenes. Chao.